Shocking, they realized the truth about you at midnight. Will it be too late? The clock struck midnight in a small town where secrets hid in shadowy corners. The streets felt electric, buzzing with an unshakable tension. People were on edge, whispers darting between friends like startled birds taking flight. With the world asleep, something was stirring, something sinister. A light flickered in the old church at the end of Elm Street, where old rumors breathed life into belief. Tonight, something was coming to light that shouldn't be uncovered. As they gathered, faces painted with unease, the curious townsfolk shared tales of a hidden truth, the kind that clawed at your insides, forcing you to question everything, even yourself. Legend had it that on nights like this, if you listened closely enough, the town would reveal its secrets to those brave enough to hear. It felt like a challenge shrouded in mystery. What was lying in wait, hidden just beneath the surface? Just then, an unexpected rumble echoed through the church, rattling windows and bringing the group to a halt. They all exchanged glances, fear mirrored in wide eyes. Someone dared to step forward, trembling hands clutching the door handle. The air was thick with anticipation and something else, something dark, as though the very shadows were watching. As whispers turned into nervous laughter, the door creaked open, revealing an empty pew. Silence fell like a heavy curtain, wrapping around them. They felt it, an electric tang in the air, a warning. Could they be too late to discover what truth awaited them? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed through the empty church, a voice that sent shivers down their spines. You shouldn't have come. It crept through the air like a cold breath. What had they stumbled into? The flickering candlelight danced wildly, casting ominous shadows across the walls. Every beat of their hearts synchronized, pounding with dread. What dark secret lay buried in the heart of this town? Was there a truth about them, about all of them, that they'd never seen coming? The group clutched each other tighter. They sensed that the night was far from over. Questions spiraled like a tornado in their minds, desperate to find answers. But would they be ready for what they found? The truth beckoned, but would they be brave enough to answer its call? The air inside the church chilled further, the warmth of their breaths visible as they stood frozen, fear flashing across each face like lightning. With the whisper still hanging ominously, the group hesitated, caught between the desire for answers and the instinct to flee. Who said that? A voice trembled from the back of the group. It was Clara, her eyes wide, darting nervously as if she expected a figure to materialize from the shadows, her freckled hands tightly gripping the fabric of her shirt. I don't know, someone else murmured, a hint of panic creeping in. It was Tom, the local mechanic. His usual bravado was stripped away, leaving nothing but raw nerves. Maybe we should get out of here. But no one moved. They all felt it, the pulsing weight of curiosity and dread, drawing them closer to the flickering candles, inviting them to unveil what lay beneath the church's hollow surface. Just as one foot was about to turn around, the whisper returned, louder and clearer. You forgot about us. The words wrapped around them, sinuous and suffocating. What had they forgotten? The walls of the old church began to tremble, the floor vibrating with an unearthly energy. The light flickered furious bursts, illuminating haunting images within the old paint, faces twisted in pain, eyes wide in anguish. The stories they had heard as children danced back into their memories, tales of a forgotten past, of things made to vanish, of buried sins. Look! Over there! Jessie, curious as always, pointed toward an altar where a small trapdoor was slowly creaking open. It seemed to breathe, a dark void opening within the heart of the church. The air smelled stale, as if centuries of sorrow had been locked beneath it. I don't want to go down there, Clara whispered, her voice shaky, a lump forming in her throat. We have to find out. Jessie shot back, fury igniting his nerves. It felt more important than both fear and reason. An adrenaline surge fueled by the overwhelming urge to know. Each person edged closer, terror mixed with impatience. They peered down into the abyss. The shadows obscured their vision, but they could sense something down there, something alive, something waiting. A chilling breath echoed from the depths. "Join us!" A figure suddenly lunged from the shadows below, sending the group stumbling back. It was a gaunt shape, draped in fibers that seemed to weave through the air like smoke. A face emerged, gaunt and hollow, eyes black as coal yet reflecting their terror back at them. The figure raised a bony finger and pointed straight at Tom. "Your time has come." The voice was a low growl, dripping with malice. Tom's breath hitched, his hands trembling as he pressed against the nearest wall. "What does that mean?" he gasped, fear painting his features pale, the whir of panic ringing in his ears. The figure faded back into the darkness, but not before understanding filled the room like a tangible fog. They had stumbled into something they couldn't just walk away from. This was their reckoning, the truth bearing down on them like a freight train. As shadows twisted and the walls whispered secrets long buried, they had to make a choice that could alter everything. Stay and confront what they'd hidden from, or flee, risking their pasts catching up with them. Just before the candlelight dimmed, Jesse breathed out, "We have to go down there." But would they rise to the challenge, or would this moment dissolve into their worst nightmares? As Tom's decision hung in the air, the church walls seemed to pulse, a heartbeat echoing a sinister countdown. What awaited them below? Would they face the truth together, or would it tear them apart? Jesse's heart hammered in his chest as he stared into the abyss, the trapdoor gaping down like a hungry maw. His determination felt unshakable, a fire igniting his spirit even as the shadows licked at his feet. He glanced around at the faces of his friends. Clara's wide eyes mirrored fear, Tom's ashen face was rigid with dread. They were on the precipice of something monumental, yet none wanted to step into the darkness. "Come on. We can't just stand here," Jesse insisted, his voice rising above the whisper swirling around them. "If we don't go down there, we might never know what really happened. We owe it to them, or to ourselves." "Did you hear that thing?" Clara countered, her voice sharp with anxiety. "It's not just some ghost. It's angry. We can't know what it wants. I'd rather find out than live in fear." Jesse's anger flared, pushing him forward. Without waiting for a consensus, he took a step closer to the trapdoor. His legs felt as though they were moving through molasses, each movement beckoned by the void below. "Jesse, don't!" Clara's cry pierced the air, but it was too late. He had already tossed caution to the wind, clutching the edges of the opening, peering into the darkness below. For a moment, the darkness was a reassuring blanket, classic horror movie stuff. But then came the realization the air felt thicker, carrying the weight of 1,000 lost souls. His throat dried, realizing he was staring into an abyss that didn't merely hold shadows but whispers of the past. A shudder ran through him as the figure returned, lunging forward like a snake striking its prey. It was there in the flickering candlelight, swirling wisps of shadow coiling around it. "You forgot about us," the figure hissed again, voice low and full of bitterness. It lunged closer, closer still, until the thin line between the group and whatever lay beneath blurred into an oil slick of dread. "Tom!" Clara shouted, her voice now breaking with panic. "Can't you fix this? You always have a plan." But Tom stared, paralyzed, caught in the crosshairs of terror and responsibility. I don't know," he stammered, fingers trembling against the wall. The air dipped, thickening with the shared dread of moments that had been etched into their town's past. "Leave him alone!" Jesse yelled, dramatic fervor suddenly stripped from him, replaced with uncertainty. They had come looking for answers, but now they stood swallowed by an emptiness that felt insurmountable. The darkness throbbed, eerie echoes creeping back to life. "You all need to remember your past is here. Buried, but not forgotten." The words dripped with judgment, resonating against the sacred walls, the tales they had unwittingly ignored clawing their way back to them. The sudden gust of wind blew through the church, snuffing the candles, plunging them into complete darkness. Heartbeats echoed in the void, panic swelling like a storm. "Get down there!" Jesse shouted, throwing caution aside. We have to face it. If this is about us, we're the only ones who can put an end to it. Before anyone could respond, he climbed down the first few rungs of the ladder leading into the dark, the only light now coming from the faint glow of his phone. Each rung creaked beneath his weight, vibrating with the anticipation of something that wanted to keep them away. Jesse! Clara's voice echoed as she followed, desperation coating her words. The ground beneath felt roiled, as if alive beneath their feet. Wait. What if something happens? We can't run anymore. He shot back, conviction mixing with a fear so palpable it choked him. We're doing this together. But as they descended, a haunting whisper rose from the depths, taunting them. It's too late. What had they awakened? What elements of their past lay waiting below, hungry for confrontation? The shadows thickened around them, and the ominous promise of tomorrow loomed closer in the darkness. With every step downward, one thought rang out above the chaos: could they truly face what they had buried, or would they unravel the very threads that bound them together? Jesse's phone flickered, casting an eerie glow on the damp walls of the darkened passage. Shadows danced around them, feeling less like a trick of the light and more like living entities, watching, waiting. Clara followed closely, her breath shallow and quickening. The air grew colder, curling around them like a vice. Jesse, please be careful, Clara whispered, her voice barely audible in the gloom. Fear tightened around her throat like a vice. What if we shouldn't have? Keep moving. Jesse urged, his resolve faltering as he turned back to her. He could see the worry etched on her face, the silent battle between fear and faith. We'll find answers. We have to. As they stepped deeper into the unknown, Jesse felt an oppressive weight press down on him. The whispers swelled, overlapping and blending into a cacophony that clawed at his sanity. Someone, or something, was down here, something that had been waiting. Your past will consume you. The voice slithered through the shadows, chilling them to the bone. Jesse shut his eyes, trying to shut out the truth that echoed through his mind. They had thought they could face what lay buried, but was it even safe to tread forward? Did you hear that? Tom piped up, voice trembling. He was still on the ladder, stuck halfway between his friends and the heartbeat of darkness below them. Tom. Clara called, staying close to Jesse. Get down. We need to stick together. The chilling voice erupted again, loud and angry. You can't escape from what you are. Without warning, the ground beneath them heaved, a rumble pulsating like a heartbeat. A bitter cry of despair echoed from deep within the pit. You've forsaken us, now feel the consequences. Jesse stumbled, caught off guard by the violent motion. Clara reached for him, their fingers meeting just as a tremor rocked the whole structure. The walls shivered, dust cascading like tears from the ceiling, crawling into their lungs. Jesse! Clara shouted, panic breaking through her resolve. What do? We can't just stand here. We hold on. He clutched her hand tightly, holding on to the one thing that felt real as the darkness threatened to swallow them whole. Suddenly, the ground split wide in a sickening crack. Faces, twisted and contorted, began to emerge from the fissure, the anguished cries swirling around them. Was that Mrs. Everly? The town librarian, a kind soul now twisted in agony? The sight sent shockwaves of horror through Jesse. What is this? His voice trembled, blending with the sounds of terror erupting from the chasm. We need to know what happened all those years ago, Clara whispered, determination mingling with dread. They're trying to tell us. We have to listen. As they leaned closer, shadows spiraled upwards like smoke, swirling around them and whispering tales of betrayal, of loss, of secrets long buried. Then, as if the very air had come alive, Jesse felt something resonate deep within him, an echo of memories he had buried himself, faces long forgotten, moments he tried to escape. Everything he thought he had put behind him surged forth like a tide, choking him. Why are they showing us this? Tom shouted, his voice cracking. Because they want us to remember. Clara pressed, the color draining from her face as memories flickered in her mind too. Remember what? Jesse yelled back, shaking his head against the revelations dragging him down. Before he could grasp the flood of realization, the shadows coalesced into a single dark figure, towering over them, eyes glowing like embers. "It's time for the truth to resurface," it hissed, each syllable laced with malice. The shadows twisted, forming a bridge toward the depths below where the cries of the lost mingled with the echoing darkness. With their hearts racing, the three stood on uncertain ground, confronted not just by what was lost, but by the heavy burden of their own actions. As panic clutched at their throats, another chilling whisper swept through the air: "You've come to dig up the past, but, will the past allow you to leave?" Could they truly handle the truth, or would it be their undoing? The darkness surged, and once again, their fate hung in the balance, trembling at the precipice of revelation. What awaited them in the abyss? Was it salvation, or the harrowing truth they had tried to escape? Clara could barely breathe as the dark figure loomed closer, shifting shadows revealing crimson streaks trailing down its form, anguish embodied, capturing all that was lost. Jesse, heart racing, stumbled back, pulling Clara along with him, as if retreat could shield them from the ghostly truth. "Get back!" he shouted, the panic in his voice raw and bright against the silence that surrounded them. Tom's footsteps echoed above, the metal ladder creaking under the weight of his fears. Stuck in a limbo between bravery and dread, the figure's voice vibrated through Jesse's bones, deep and distorting. "Do you think you can outrun your past? This place, it remembers." Each word tasted of ash, leaving their mouths dry, hope slipping through their fingers. Clara's eyes reflected the ghostly shimmer of the undead faces emerging from the crack. They were wronged. "We have to," but the words caught in her throat, choked by the growing sense of despair that dripped like venom into her heart. "Shut up!" Jesse hissed, desperation rising like bile. The shadows watched, angry and mournful, their agony blending with his own until he could hardly tell where one began and the other ended. "To forget is to die," the figure moaned, extending skeletal fingers toward the trio. "The truth resides in memory, a truth you have all but ignored." Before Jesse could reply, the ground quaked again, sending a shockwave through his body. He nearly lost his grip on Clara as she trembled beside him. "What do you want from us?" she cried, fury and fear battling within her. "Remember?" The figure leaned closer, its icy breath whispering secrets into the air, a promise of revelation tinged with dread. "Reclaim what is yours before it is lost forever. Please, we need answers." Tom shouted, desperation breaking free at last. "We're just trying to understand." Yet the voice seemed to feed off their fear, growing stronger, swirling around them like a dark cloud ready to engulf them. The faces in the fissure twisted and held, voices spewing sorrow as they began to merge into one coherent thought, as if their suffering birthed clarity. "You've overlooked the first step toward redemption. Face the truth of your betrayal." Jesse felt a cold wave crashing over him, betrayal not just of others, but also himself. Memories he thought he had buried deep began bubbling up, accompanied by a bitter taste of regret. "What did we do?" he whispered, as realization clawed at his throat. "Your choices, the darkness stems from them." The figure spat, its tone laced with admonition. "You must confront it." Jesse's mind reeled, he wanted to run, to escape the sickening truth that threatened to unravel the very core of his being. "Can we really face it?" Clara posed, voice shaking as she looked Jesse in the eye. Despite the chaos around them, her gaze was steady, filled with a flicker of courage. He struggled to find his voice, remembering the moments he had tried to erase, the lives intertwined with his own. "We can't just let this consume us. We're here to make it right." "Make it right?" the figure echoed, incredulous. "You have the power to change their fate, but at what cost? Do you dare uncover what's hidden in the shadows?" With a sudden rush of energy, the shadows began to pulse around them, morphing into a portal leading into the darkness. Face after face stared at them as if inviting them to step forward, to dive deeper into the abyss of their own making. "Clara, we can't leave them." Jesse's voice broke through the mounting chaos. "They won't find peace until we understand. We owe them that." "You think we can just dive into that?" Tom's voice cracked under the weight of disbelief, and yet he remained rooted to the spot. Clara took a shaky breath, resolving to take the leap, as the shadows twisted around her. If we don't try, we condemn ourselves too. Together, hand in hand, they stood on the edge of everything familiar, peering into the swirling darkness that promised both understanding and danger. Are you ready to face your past? The dark figure loomed above them, a stark reminder that truth was not merely a whisper in their ears, but a thunder they had to embrace. And then the whispers began to merge into a single melody. Step into the darkness, your fate awaits. How far would they go to unearth the buried secrets of their past? As they stepped forward, the ground gave way, tossing them into the void. Falling, it felt like an eternity, the darkness swallowing them whole, wrapping around them with its icy grip. Clara screamed, the sound torn from her throat, but it was lost to the void, a silent echo in the abyss. Jessie held her tightly, every second stretching out like a thin thread, the fear coiling around them. With each meter they plunged deeper. They landed with a thud, hitting cold ground. Clara gasped, air rushing back into her lungs, and the darkness shimmered around them, shifting and writhing like an unseen beast. Jessie's heart pounded in his chest, thudding like a war drum in the stillness. Is everyone okay? He breathed out, voice shaky. He glanced around, but the dim light was almost blinding after the pitch-black fall. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, ghostly figures moving just out of reach. Where are we? Tom's voice trembled beside him. The fear laced in his words was palpable, as if every syllable carried the weight of their impending doom. Are they here? Clara whispered, scanning the gloom for those lost faces, marvels and terrors entwined. The ones we saw before? Maybe if we face them, we can. Jessie began, but was interrupted as a wave of shadows coalesced nearby. Shapes twisted, morphing into headless forms that carried the echoes of cries and whispers. Face us, they chanted in eerie unison, voices mingling in a haunting chorus. Embrace your guilt. Jessie's stomach tightened. What do you want? He yelled, struggling to inject strength into his words. Why are we here? Remember, the figures hissed, the darkness thickening with their resolve. Regret painted every syllable, filling the air with a tension that felt electric, sparking his nerves alive. I can't, Clara whimpered, her voice breaking, the weight of shame crashing over her like a wave. Please, I can't relive it. It hurts too much. But the shadows lunged forward, and in that very moment, vulnerability tipped into sharp clarity. Faces began to form, familiar and haunting, all marked by the pain she had wanted to forget. And among them, her brother stood, eyes hollow, mouth twisted in torment. No. Clara squeezed her eyes shut, shaking her head. No, not you, not here. She dropped to her knees, hands clawing at her hair as if trying to wrench her memories away. Jessie rushed to her side, heart breaking at her anguish. Clara, look at me. We have to face this, or it will consume you. Us. But she was lost in a world of pain, and Tom moved beside them, shaking Clara gently. Clara. You're not alone. We're here with you. The figures lurched forward, like tidal waves of sorrow crashing against the shore of their reality. Each face carried a story, victims of their pasts, screaming for recognition. You cannot forget. They wailed, a cacophony of despair and anger. You cannot escape us. Jessie's pulse quickened as the shadows closed in, the tangible pressure mauling at the edges of their minds. An electric charge buzzed, pushing against the danger swirling around them. Stand firm. He shouted, voice cracking but resolute, holding on to the belief that facing the past could deliver a form of salvation. Clara gasped, her eyes opening wide, catching Jess's stormy gaze. You think we can change it? Can we really confront what we've done? A fracture of resolve flickered within her, and the collective yearning of the faces surged forward with terrifying intensity, amplifying the swirling chaos. Only the brave, the figures taunted, can weather the storm of their making. Together they stood, trembling as the shadows danced menacingly. Faces lined with sorrow pressed closer, and tears streamed down Clara's cheeks, tears of past guilt, finally surfacing in the rawest form of pain. How far are you willing to go to reclaim your souls? The figures intoned, deep voices intertwining, offering a perverse blend of hope and fear. In that moment, a spark ignited inside Jessie. I'm not afraid, he proclaimed. And as if answering his courage, the shadows recoiled slightly, whispering softer but still insistent, "Then step forward, face the truth, your soul waits to be set free." The darkness stirred, and with it, a question loomed heavy in the air: what truths would they unearth in this haunted realm? As the shadows began to ripple and pulse, an ominous promise hung before them, daring them to take the leap. Would they embrace the darkness, or would they drown beneath the weight of their past? The air crackled with tension. Shadows pulsed and writhed, hungry for their attention. For a moment, silence draped over them like a heavy blanket, suffocating and palpable. Jesse felt the weight of Clara's trembling form next to him, determination mixed with dread swirling in the depths of her gaze. "Stand strong," he urged, trying to ground himself and his friends amidst the chaos. "We can fight this." But Clara's gaze remained trapped in the void, haunted by the faces that bore down on her. "What if we can't?" she murmured, a tremor in her voice that gripped Jesse's heart. "Then we die trying," Tom shot back, his own fear igniting a flicker of anger. He stepped closer to the advancing shadows, fists clenched. The figures responded, their whispers rising into a deafening roar. "You think you can change what has been done? The past is a cage you built. You can never escape." Jesse fought back the panic surging within him, forcing his feet to move forward. "Clara, we have to face them together. They need our acknowledgement. It's the only way out." His voice was strong, despite his insides churning. Clara hung her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "But what if facing them means losing everything?" she asked, fear pooling in her blue eyes. "It means finding ourselves," Tom interjected, stepping beside her. "Whatever has happened, we face it together." Clara hesitated but felt something stirring within, the ghost of her courage battling against despair. The shadowy figures twitched in anticipation, like predators sensing prey. "Face your guilt," the shadows hissed, their voices a tempest in the darkness, sinister yet alluring. The moment stretched, the tension coiling tighter. Jesse reached for Clara's hand, squeezing it gently, grounding them both. "We can reclaim what is ours, the truth of who we are, if we embrace all of it." With one last shaky breath, Clara finally lifted her head, her gaze steadying on her brother's face amongst the ghastly forms. "I'll do it. I'll face you," she shouted, her voice fierce. The darkness recoiled for just a moment, almost surprised. But with Clara's declaration, the room shifted. The nightmarish figures surged forward, howling in frustration. "Then embrace the flood," they clamored, their voices echoing like a storm. "Feel the weight of your sins. Relive the moments etched in your soul." Suddenly, Clara felt a jolt of energy bolt through her, a memory breaking free from the weight of regret. A flash of laughter, warm sunlight, the scent of summer, her brother's laughter just before everything changed, just before he slipped away. "Forgive me," she choked out, trembling but resolute. "I'm so sorry." The shadows twisted violently, and her brother's face emerged among them, anguish etched deep. "You didn't protect me. You abandoned me." Spiraling within Clara, guilt threatened to swallow her whole. "I was too scared," she cried. "Fear doesn't erase the truth." The figure bellowed, his voice a tempest, pulling her deeper into the chasm of her guilt. Jesse felt the energy shift violently, a wave of sensations crashing against him. He couldn't let despair claim Clara, not now. "We're here. We'll fight this. Together," he yelled, the urgency cracking through the chaos. Out of the swirling mass, shadows spiraled around them like a menacing cyclone. Each figure hissed and spat bitterness, but Clara stepped forward, her brother's face firming into a mask of sorrow and longing. "Stop," she cried. "I can't change the past, but I can acknowledge it. I can honor it. I will not let you take me down with you." Her reverberating words cut through the tempest, forcing the shadows back, even as a deeper darkness lurked beyond. Clara, braced with raw fear, was filled with newfound strength. As the shadows wavered, Jesse caught his breath and felt the heavy burden of truth collide in his chest. "You have to let them in," he urged Clara. "Face your brother. Embrace the hurt but also the joy. Only then can we move forward. The figures faltered, confusion rippling across their ephemeral faces. You seek truth, yet fear its embrace? Clara's voice broke through the chaos again, steady and clear. I am ready. Holding on to Jessie and Tom, she waded deeper into the storm, the specter swirling around them, the clash of guilt and hope echoing as she sought her brother's gaze. But something in the shadows shifted, dark tendrils reaching, whispering promises that threatened to unearth deeper memories. Now, tell us what you really know, the shadows murmured. Would they uncover the fractured remnants of their past, or would the truth be too devastating to hold? The storm swirled around them, shadows flickering, hungry for the light Clara was beginning to kindle. Her brother's face loomed, half-shrouded in torment, yet inching closer, pulling her towards the depths of her own memories. Each heartbeat resonated with the echoes of past mistakes, pressing hard against her chest like an anvil in a suffocating box. What do you want from me? Clara shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. The energy pulsed and crackled, stinging her skin. We want the truth. The shadows roared, their voices mingling into an unsettling choir. Only then will you be free. Clara strained to find her brother's eyes. She saw pain there, raw and unfiltered. What if I can't bear it? She whispered, the lump in her throat tightening. Then let us take it. We are your fears, your regrets, embrace us. The shadows writhed closer, their forms flickering like flames, teasing the edges of her consciousness. No. I won't let you devour me. She screamed. But deep down, a fear lurked, taunting her with the suffocating weight of her guilt. Tom stepped forward, a shield of defiance. Clara, listen. Facing them doesn't mean becoming one with them. You can acknowledge your truth and step into the light. An hourglass of time spun wildly around them as they stood at the precipice of revelation. Clara's memories bombarded her, fragmented visions flashing before her eyes, the laughter, the fights, and the moments etched in regret. Each wave of recollection washed over her, pulling her dangerously close to drowning in despair. Clara, remember the good. Remember him alive, Jessie urged, holding her hand tighter. You have to remind yourself of the joy, too. The shadows recoiled, writhing with anger. No. You will not hide behind joy. You left him. You loved him, but you let him slip away. No. Clara shouted, digging deep within. She could still feel his warmth, taste the sweetness of those bright days. The sun on her skin, the sound of his laughter ringing like a bell. The darkness around her began to pulse, like a heart in anguish. Suddenly, she plunged into a memory. She was young again, sitting on a porch swing, her brother beside her, a sticky popsicle in hand, grinning from ear to ear. Promise you'll always look out for me, Clara. He had laughed. Delight like a spark of warmth they shared. Tears blurring her vision, Clara spoke through the haze, I was scared. I was scared of losing you. But I loved you and I won't forget. The shadows howled, their forms shuddering as her love poured forth. You are not just your pain. She pressed, clenching Jessie and Tom's hands. I will honor you, always. As her words echoed, the shadows began to waver, flickers of light piercing the darkness. Shadows twisted, some evaporating into thin air, others shuddering under the weight of Clara's acknowledgement. Is he here? She pleaded, searching through the tumult for the boy she had loved. Please, come back to me. For a breath-held moment, silence enveloped them. Then, a soft glow began to coalesce from the chaos, her brother's light flickering at the edge of despair. His face emerged, radiant yet sorrowful, caught between dimensions. You found me, he whispered, hope mingling with sorrow. Clara's heart soared, yet dread crept in, a sliver of doubt, as if the truth might tear apart the delicate balance they were now forging. Will you stay? She murmured, voice barely above a breath. The shadows lurked, tightening their grip around her friends as if sensing the fragile thread of hope threatening to break. Just as his lips parted, a deep voice echoed through the chamber, laden with malice. You think this is over? The past doesn't vanish, it waits. Before Clara could stir, the shadows surged with renewed strength, furious whispers echoing, promising revelations that could shatter their fragile bond. Would the truth she so desperately sought bring them closer, or would it tear them apart forever? The air vibrated with the imminent confrontation, and darkness lurked with its sharp edges, ready to cut deep. "Clara!" Jessie cried, eyes wide with fear. The shadows twisted, eager to ensnare her once more. Would they reclaim their lost bonds, or would the remnants of guilt lay waste to everything they had fought for? And on the edge of that reckoning, silence thickened, holding its breath. The shadows surged like a tide, overwhelming the fragile barrier of hope Clara had built. She felt the darkness brush against her skin, icy and suffocating. The voice continued to reverberate, a sinister echo that lingered in the air, twisting around her thoughts. "Your past is a tapestry woven with your failures. A canvas painted with regret." It taunted, pulling Clara deeper into a vortex of despair. Tom gripped her hand, his expression fierce and unwavering. "Clara, fight back. Show them what you're made of." But the shadows had a hypnotic allure, a seductive pull that threatened her resolve. Clara's heart raced, memories flooding her like a torrential downpour. She remembered the last conversation with her brother, the way his laughter had faded into silence, and how she had walked away, thinking she could escape the pain. "Tell me, what do you want?" she cried out, choking back the guilt, tears streaking down her cheeks. "An offering? A sacrifice?" They hissed, swirling into a dark storm, their faces shifting in and out of focus, figures from the past emerging like specters. Clara's breath caught as she recognized them. Faces of friends she'd lost, moments she wished she could erase. "No. I want to give you what you want. I refuse to lose myself." But their anger was palpable, a force that pressed against her, threatening to crush her under its weight. Shadows closed in, their cold fingers curling around Jessie and Tom. Clara could see fear in their eyes, a reflection of her own. "Remember why you fight," Jessie shouted, his voice piercing through the chaos. "You have the power, Clara. Don't let them take it away." The warmth of her memories surged back, ignited by Jessie's words. Those sunny afternoons, laughter filling the air, and the unbreakable bond she shared with her brother. "Remember the joy? The love?" Clara whispered fiercely, gripping Tom's hand tighter. "You don't own me." Light flickered in her heart, bright against the shadows. Clara focused on the glow she could feel building inside. "You are not my truth," she declared, her voice rising above the cacophony. "I choose to remember him, not in sorrow, but in joy." As her declaration hung in the air, a crack formed in the oppressive darkness. The shadows shrieked, their forms writhing and twisting, as Clara's radiant light pushed against them. "With every joy, I reclaim what is mine." The dark figures recoiled, hissing and spitting like beasts cornered. Clara felt their grip on Tom and Jessie falter. "Stand with me," Clara cried, urging them to grasp the warmth she had set free. With hearts united, they all poured their love into the light, merging their energies. The storm around them began to break apart, light breaking through the darkness in dazzling shards. Clara gasped as she saw the familiar glow of her brother shining through the chaos, his image now clear and vibrant. "Clara," he said, his voice warm and familiar, filling the void left by despair. "I'm here. You brought me back to you." But as hope blossomed, Clara's heart tightened again. What did they mean by sacrifice? she asked, glancing nervously at the flickering shadows. Just then, the deep voice echoed again, colder and more menacing. What of the truth she must uncover to free herself? Will you pay the price? Fear wrapped around Clara like a cold fog, chilling her spine. What do you want from me? she demanded, breathless. The shadow swirled with glee, a vortex of hunger. The truth has a price, Clara, and it is yours to discover. Chill ran through her as she realized with dread that the confrontation was far from over. A new mystery loomed, heavy and dark. What sacrifice would she have to make to truly find her brother again? Just then, another shadow broke free from the throng, its form shifting and quivering. It moved closer, whispering a name Clara had long buried deep. The ground trembled beneath her feet as she braced herself against the rising storm of emotions. "Will you be brave enough to face it?" It hissed, promising revelations that could change everything, and on her trembling lips rested a question that could shatter or save them all. The shadows shifted, a swirling mass of grief and anger. Clara felt their weight pressing down around her, but she didn't back away. She steadied herself, her heart racing, grounded by Jesse and Tom beside her. Their hands clasped, a lifeline amidst the chaos. "Who do I have to sacrifice?" she breathed, shaking but resolute. The shadow loomed larger, its presence wrapping around her like a choking vine. "Your fear," it hissed. "Face it. Only then will the truth reveal itself." A flood of memories washed over Clara, sharper than any pain she had buried. Her brother's laughter, the warm afternoons filled with love, then the icy grip of guilt when it all shattered. She could feel the despair clawing at her chest, trying to suffocate her. But alongside that darkness was a flicker of light, the joy she had shared with him. "No," Clara murmured, clutching Tom tighter. "I won't give you my fear, I'll face it instead." With a primal roar, the shadows surged forward. Clara's thoughts raced as the wailing of lost souls echoed in her ears. "I am not afraid of you," she shouted, her voice slicing through the shifting darkness. "I am not defined by my past." The shadows recoiled, but they didn't disappear. They twisted, revealing faces of those she had loved and lost, plucking at her heartstrings. "You must remember," they wailed in unison. "Embrace your truths." Heart pounding, Clara gazed at her friends. "Together," she cried, "we must reclaim what was taken from us." She focused on the glow building in her heart. Love, laughter, pain, each memory a stepping stone toward her brother's spirit, the one locked away in the shadows. "Let us do this," Jesse encouraged, stepping forward. "We face this together." Emboldened, Clara raised her chin and expanded the glow of warmth she felt. "You want my truth? Here it is," she declared, letting every word drip with courage. "I loved him fiercely, and I lost him. But I refuse to let your darkness suffocate my light." The shadows twisted violently, a howl of indignation rising up. Clara felt her warmth clashing against their icy grip, pushing back, bit by bit. "I loved him, and I will honor him. I refuse to carry guilt any longer." With that, she felt the bond between her and her brother strong, unyielding, pulling at her resolve. The tears streamed down her face as her brother's face shone through the darkness. "Clara," he whispered, his voice just a soft echo compared to the chaos swirling around her. "You do not abandon me, you cherish me." With those words, her heart warped with strength. She turned, her hands clasped tightly in Tom and Jesse's. "We take back our light. We take back our love." As they called into the void, they unleashed a torrent of memories of joy, of sorrow, and every flicker of light struck against the darkness. The shadows shrieked, twisting and breaking, the weight of past wrongs unraveling at the seams. "Hold on," Tom shouted, his voice powerful above the chaos. "We are together. We are not relinquishing our truth." Something cracked. The shadows faltered, twisting in disarray as if losing their grip on reality. Clara stepped forward with fierce resolve. "You will not take my brother from me. I will never forget." With every ounce of strength, she reached farther into the abyss, a point of connection to the very heart that anchored her, and then, like a tidal wave, the light surged forward, crashing over the darkness. The chilling grip of despair evaporated as the shadowy figures dissolved into whispers, their cries fading like a distant echo. Clara turned, breathless, as her brother's spirit took form, radiant amidst the fading darkness. He bore a smile like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. "You found me," he said softly, "and I will never leave you." Tears spilled over Clara's cheeks, a blend of relief and longing. "I'm sorry I let you go. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." "Forgiving yourself is part of love," he whispered, reaching for her, warmth swirling around them. The hurt you've carried has only weighed you down. You don't need to carry it anymore. Tom and Jesse stepped closer, their faces illuminated by the warm light. We're here with you, Tom urged, looking Clara in the eyes. You face this together. Empowered, Clara nodded, her heart swelling with hope. Together. The spirits of the shadows floated around them, their faces now softened, their anguished cries transformed into blessed whispers. Clara stepped forward, embracing the healing light with outstretched arms. Thank you for leading me to this moment, she said, her voice potent. I won't forget what we shared, not now or ever. And as the shadows peeled away, revealing the path back to the surface, Clara knew they had done it. They faced their past and emerged into a brighter dawn. With one final glance back, she could almost see her brother, radiant and smiling, as they exited the haunting realm together, stepping into the warm embrace of forgiveness, rebirth, and a renewed future. Jesse and Tom stood resolute beside her, hearts intertwined with Clara's unyielding spirit. They had faced the darkness, and together they found their light. Now, it was time to return and share the truth, a testament to the power of facing one's fears and reclaiming lost love. Remember, the truth always finds a way to surface. The journey had only just begun. Listen, if you want to dive into more heart-pounding, riveting stories like this one, you need to subscribe right now. This is the moment to show your support and smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep your favorite tales alive. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories because I want to hear what you think about this ending. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. They won't want to miss out. Let us keep this incredible journey going, together.